to another episode of Postpartum in the Raw. Today, we are so excited to have Mama Yata. She is the founder and CEO of Melanin Mothers Meet in Florida. Welcome, welcome, Mama Yata. How are you?
You. I am well. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. We just gonna jump in because you have come highly recommended. And I know that you are doing so much work in this space, and I'm just excited to really just dig into it. And so one of the opening questions that I do often ask folks is how, like, if you knew anything about what to expect during your postpartum journey ahead of time, and
Mhm.
then how did that compare and contrast to what you actually experienced, at least during your first postpartum experience?
Yeah. Well, during my first postpartum experience, I was married, and I just kind of recognized early on that men are helpful. We love our husbands, and they're great. However, we are going to need some type of sisterhood. We're going to need some women up in here to make sure that everything is taken care of as far as the nurturing aspect when it comes to the baby, when it comes to the mom, because nobody knows a woman like a woman. So, it's no knock to the men. However, we just have to be realistic about the type of help that we're going to need. And it's going to require some more feminine energy than the man will have to offer.
Absolutely. So, what can you share a little bit about your birth experiences, how many children you have, and what those postpartum experiences were like?
Yes. I have two children, one 7 and one 3. Well, I have two that I birthed. I have two children that I birthed. And my first one, I was very intentional about even becoming pregnant. I wanted to make sure that I changed my lifestyle and my diet and the way that I thought about things. I think I did about 3 years before having a child. I went vegan or plant based. And so I've been plant based for about 11 years. And there was a quote or something I heard that said, are you going to have your child, in the womb, in a graveyard womb?
Mm.
And that just did everything it needed to do for me. I was like, oh, well, we're not going to be doing that. So let me get my act together. Let me get my mind together. Let me do a detox. Let me cleanse myself, cleanse my body, cleanse my mind, unlearn things that I might have learned that I don't want to pass down to my children, even in the womb. Right. So I did that. And I just did a lot of research. I was very quiet about my pregnancy. I don't tend to put my children on the internet, and no knock to those who do. Just for me, it's just a very specific way that if I ever have to put my children on there, there's just a specific way that I want to do it. Now, if I want to share just random photos with families, I'll do that via text message or, visiting. But yeah, I'm old school with that. I like to see, intimate and exchange interactions in the physical more so.
Mhm.
But what I what I tend to do is just kind of keep it in the space with me and my support system. And I just took the research very serious because what I did find that was very disturbing was that the infant and maternal mortality, just amongst Black women in general, it could be in Florida, it can be in my county, it can be in your county. Listen, Black women and Black children all over are dying every day because they don't have the correct support. The people that are around them supporting them, maybe supporting them to the best of their capacity, but it might not be enough. There's not enough training. There's not enough any of those things. So I said I wasn't going to have my babies in the hospital. I'm not doing it. I'm not going through that. I just couldn't imagine. And that was my personal viewpoint of why I had my children at home. Even though my daughter took 26 hours to come on out, I realized afterwards, I said, oh, okay, so this is what we need to do to make sure we don't go through that again. And my son came in like 3 or 4 hours, but I had to let go. I had to let go. I was holding on. I wanted to be in control. And once I figured out, oh, your body's going to do this anyway. Your body is going to, like, your body has a fetal ejection where you
Yeah.
don't have to push. So I didn't have to push anybody out of me. I didn't have any pain. It was just like one of those things you just dream about when it comes to, okay, this is how I want my birth to be. And it went exactly how I said I wanted it to go. And the only thing that I would change from my first to my last would be the time. And I did that. And I did that. And so now that I walk the walk, now I can talk the talk. And I'm like, look here, sugar, you can do the same thing I did.
Yeah. So can you tell us, because that's first of all the preparation. I love that, and the intentionality behind preparing your womb ahead of time
Mhm.
before you even conceive. We hear a lot about nutrition in pregnancy, nutrition in postpartum, um, infertility challenges, and all these things, and folks are not connecting the dots. Like,
Mhm.
you have to prepare your
Yes.
mind, body, and spirit. And so what did you change that got you from 26 hours to, first of all, I'm asking for myself. What did you do? And I love that level of self-awareness, but share with us what that process was and making that adjustment.
Yeah. So, with my daughter, and the 26 hour, and it really showed there that I am a control freak. Now, with my transparency, I am getting better, and I am not as controlling as I used to be. But it shows up. Little debris of your past shows up in little things, and to be aware of that is growth, and to want to do something to change it is growth as well. So I'm in that area of growth and change every day. But in those days, I was a super control freak. I has to go exactly the way I wanted to go, and that's going to be that. And so I can feel it through my birth canal. I did a lot of hypnobirthing. I did a lot of breath technique. I watched nothing but water births, at home births. I didn't make the water, but I had her on the side of my bed in a squat. I was on my knees, my hands and knees, and it really was the subconscious mindset. And the power of your subconscious mind, you literally can do and be and see whatever you want it, however you want it. You are an alchemist. You create your own realities. And it's so, so vital for Black women to understand this connectivity that we were born with. You know what I mean? And so, but it's so much trauma that we enter when we come here, because now we're not only do we have our own traumas, but we have the traumas of our mothers, we have the traumas of our grandmothers, we have the traumas of our great grandmothers, because we're all sitting in those spaces, in the ovaries and the eggs. My daughter now, she's 7 years old, but she has her great grandchildren inside of her. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever she's going to experience, and I'm very conscientious of what she's experiencing now. Just making sure that you can do your best to not add to the trauma. Okay, just don't add to the trauma. And it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of accountability. It takes a lot of ugly crying to get to a point where you're like, you know what? No matter what I'm going to do, no matter what I go through, I'm going to overcome this adversity, because I have children that are coming after me. And in order to change the narrative of where we come from, this 400 years slavery and all this other kind of stuff, it's like, look, if we have these issues, what are you going to do inside of your home? Not what Rebecca's going to do down the street.
Yeah.
What are you doing inside of your home to solve your own problems?
Yes.
And that was
Personal
my, and,
accountability.
right. And it's like the 26 hour, that was a problem for me. So I was like, oh, what are we going to do to solve this problem? We're going to have to do something, and that something was a mental change in, like, it was like, it's kind of like an auto suggestion, right? Where people will
Mm-hmm.
tell you, oh, well, you probably shouldn't do that because, or, oh, you're sick. Don't worry. Or you need to take this, or, so people auto suggest, and then the suggestions are automatically said because people are used to telling other people how they should live, what they should do, what box they should fit in on Tuesday. Now on Thursday, you're not supposed to do this, but on Wednesday, I want you to make sure you do this for me. No. You're not in the box. You literally can do whatever you want to do. You can get over whatever you want to overcome. It is a choice. to be in these spaces. I made a choice. I said, no matter what I'm going through, and it's so crazy because my second birth, I was going through a separation, a divorce, and I was like, I don't care about no divorce. I'm not having no baby in the hospital. We gonna have the baby at the house, okay? I don't care what it looked like. I know I have the capacity to do exactly what it is that I'm saying I'm doing, and back in the back of my mind, because I have this organization that I created for my first pregnancy. I'm like, look, these women is counting on me. They counting on me. So I'm counting on me. These children counting on me. We're going to make it happen. This is what it looks like to overcome your adversity. This is what it looks like to do what you said you want to do and still do it no matter what come in your life, no matter what job you lost, no matter who passed away, no matter any of those things. You can literally put those things over here for now and put your focus into your baby, because stress kills. And if you allow stress to overcome and take over your life, no matter, because life is going to go on, okay? Stress is going to get here, but life is also going to be here too. So you have to make a decision on which it is that you're going to have the most focus on. Are you going to focus on the everyday, problems that you're going to face and things? Because things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. Problems are going to come up every day,
Mhm.
so.
So how were you, because I can imagine your support looked different, right? Between, even though the pregnancy itself was shorter, you were going
Mhm.
through a separation, or divorce or whatever happened there. How did that impact the support that you received in that second, after that
Oh
second birth?
man. So even with my first, I did have my doula. And actually, my doula, Akila McQueen, she would be good to come on here too. But she inspired me, my influence on how I wanted to have my birth, because it was like, okay, I've seen I've researched these videos, I've seen the natural birth, I know I want to do it, but knowing somebody that I can face to face, I can ask personal questions to, that's a friend of mine, it's just a whole different type of experience. And so I'm asking her these things. And so she's like, yeah, no sonograms, no this, no that, no this. And I obviously, you need to do what you need to do. The disclaimer of, don't let my life be yours, okay? Like, make your own decision. What works for you, what works for me, it's totally different. But, I was like, yeah, I'm super radical. I'm not going to do any sonogram. I think I did one sonogram in like 6 or 7 weeks. Obviously, you don't know the sex then. And I allowed spirit to let me know what I was having. And in both pregnancies, I knew exactly what I was having. And yeah, so her influence on how I did everything, doing my lotus births, eating plant-based, just it's better to have somebody that's right there that have done what you want to do, and it gives you that extra boost of confidence. It gives you an extra boost of confidence. And during that first time, she provided me meals. She just like was the best doula. Like, she's like standard doula. She's like standard doula, but she does so much more now. So I mean, good luck. But she's amazing. She's a powerhouse.
And so, you're saying you did have the support that you needed postpartum from her as your doula, and was your
Yeah.
partner a part of that? Your full
Yeah, he
partner?
definitely, yeah, he did the best that he could. He did, and
Mhm.
that's the thing. If we're not training the fathers, if we're not training the families, they'll think they're doing good, but they're not doing good at all, and they need to know how to do better. So
Mhm.
from people who do it every day with their eyes closed. But so like, yeah, so he would get up every day. I would have a cooler down, and he would, pack my lunch and my fruit, because we were upstairs, downstairs. So he's gone for the day. I'm not going downstairs. So he would just make sure I had everything I needed upstairs, and he would bring the cooler up every morning, and and that was good. That was good. That was good. But it's still it does something to you differently when you have a support of sisterhood around
Mhm.
you. And I had people that would come and visit here and there. And thankfully, the job that I had then, I was a social worker in Gainesville. They allowed me the time that I needed, to take the time that I needed to, get better. But I knew that I wasn't going back to work. I knew it. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. They don't know, but
Mhm.
I'm not going back up there. I was like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to go back to a job. And everybody doesn't have that as their reality. So I can see people saying, well, that's her, truth. And, she had the capabilities and the, the space and the availability to do that. Actually, I didn't. I just kind of made it work. It was like one of those
Mhm.
things like, well, this is what I'm doing. I don't care what's going on in life circumstance. I'm going to do it this way. And I know that the universe and God and however you look at it, the creator, the higher power is going to put in place things for me to be okay. And
Yeah.
that's what I believe. That's what I knew. And that's what happened. And we actually ended up moving back up to Tallahassee. And we had the baby, and I had the organization. At first, we started an online skincare company called Nurturology, and I ended up doing services through that company to create Melanin Mothers Meet. And so I would just build rapport and connection with women, with Black women with children, with small children. And we would have, painting in the park, or, a vision board, or, just things about breastfeeding awareness or fibroids awareness, just different forums and events and discussions. And that's how I built that space. So by the time it was time for me to have my baby, I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. This was coming on this day. This was coming on that day. Somebody coming to take my other child with their kids so they can go and play in the park. Honey, I was living life. Okay, I was
Yeah.
living life. I was living life. I was like, oh yeah, this is it right here. This is the reciprocity. This is the key. But these are the things that my organization did for other women. We would be the task force during postpartum, and we would go in. And a lot of times with Black women, they're like, don't come in my house. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to do something. Our motto is move around, sister. We gonna come in here and fold these clothes up. We gonna get this
Mhm.
baby. You gonna go take a shower. Go take it. It's okay. It's okay. You know what I mean? And obviously, we're not gonna bombard or force. But with Black women, you have to be an assertive kind of way to let them know. Look, we are for real. We're not here to judge. We're here to make your life easier so that you're not stressed, you're not depressed. You can have some time where you can just bond with your baby, not with your other three children that you have out there in the living room
Yeah.
that you need them to get quiet, but they're not. So now we're here to take them to the park with our children and give you an hour or two to just bond with your new child. Or maybe you don't have extra children and you just have an infant and you just want to go take a shower because they just been whining all night and you just need a break. And so we'll hold the infant for you. We'll hold the baby. We like babies.
Yes, we
Go,
love the babies.
so go tend to uses, go take you some self-time, some self-care. And a lot of times where, babies is really just about skin and skin. So you got some skin and skin, the baby gonna be asleep. You can go tend to you for however long the baby, baby sleeps. And then peace with if you were breastfeeding a baby and you have bottles for the baby, you breastfeeding them, we could just, so it's so many ways that you can be creatively helpful for Black women during postpartum. And I'm here to tell you, I've lived, and I think this was something that needed to happen for me, my divorce, because it helped me to be more relatable to my mom. It's like, oh, here I am, oh yeah, Melanie and others meet, I'm married, not necessarily too many traumatic experiences in that space, in that adult space. And then boom, here I am all around town doing all these vending opportunities, speaking, lecturing, all these things. And now I'm going through a divorce. And it was just like, oh, what you gonna do with that? What you gonna do with that? Miss
Mhm.
Confident one. And it was like, oh, I see you, life. I see you. I see, oh, you're trying to get big or you're getting bold now. So and that's how I talk about my adversities in my life, because when you realize, you're looking at this life and the circumstances from an eagle's eye view, you're not necessarily looking at it as something personal to you. Most things that happen to you are not personal to you. These are just things that you have to learn lessons from to be a better you.
Yeah.
So once you wrap it like that, oh, you can go through anything and get right on over it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously easier said than done. And I've cried, and I'm still a human. I have my shadow work that I still have to do. However, when you're aware of these things, it's easier to navigate through life when you understand that life is not sent here to attack you.
Yeah. And the distance and the timing, it doesn't last as long when you
Mm-hmm.
take that approach. And I really wanna I really wanna dig into this cultural um, perspective, because I do feel like right now we're overcomplicating what women need postpartum. Everything is newfangled and revolutionary and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's actually caring, and they're very simple solutions. And I know that when you're talking about indigenous, African, melanated folks, a lot of times the traditions that we hold in postpartum are rooted in, like, when we say culture, what we really mean is community. What we really mean is showing up for people, um, whether you know them or not, because that's just the right thing to do. If your neighbor is not well, then your community is not well.
Yeah.
And so can you just really share or lean into just that cultural aspect? And I had another interview, and it was a sister, and she really shared like her lack of support. And I was telling her, I'm interviewing women from all different backgrounds. She was the first one to talk about this lack of support, and I was like, that's not by accident. Black women are propped up to be independent, to be self-sufficient, to not ask for help. So we do have a unique set of barriers when it comes to receiving postpartum support. So can you share just
And
some
that's
ways that we can,
Yeah, no, definitely. And that just kind of triggered something to me as well because Dr. Joy, she has a book, post
Dr. Joy
traumatic
DeGride? That's
post
my
traumatic
girl. Yes.
post traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
And when you were explaining what the young lady was experiencing, it's like, oh, well, duh. Black women are where we are today, where we're so independent and we're so, oh, my burden is not yours, and all of these things. Once our black man was taken away from us, and we had to be independent and do all these things, and once we saw our black man beaten in front of us, torn up, I'm talking about, and I forget the fancy word for it, but let's come to me, molested, okay, let's use that one, in front of their wives, you know what I mean? Once black
So you talking about
women,
buck breaking? That's what you talking about.
well, buck breaking, but there's another word, that a fancy word they use for when they're,
Sodomized?
yes, there it is. There you
Okay.
go. There, yeah,
There we
there
go.
you go. I
All the
couldn't. I
eyes.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It wasn't coming. It wasn't coming. I appreciate you. See, that's the community right there. But once our black men were, so what happens with black women is when we get into a mindset of where we have to take over, regardless if we want to or not, we don't have room for help. We don't make room for help because now we're in survival mode, and we understand that, okay, regardless if the help is here or not, it has to get done. It has to get done. And so we're not thinking about Keisha down the street if she need help because my bill isn't paid. So I have to focus on me and what's going on in this household. And it's 2023. So these days you have to be really careful because you could get shot knocking on somebody's door trying to tell them that you're trying to help. You know what I mean? I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the world that we live in. And so you have to be very strategic about how you're offering your services to people, because people have traumatic experiences that they get triggered by the smallest thing, and before you know it, you dead.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's really important for us to consider what others have gone through and be gentle with ourselves so we can be gentle with others. And a lot of times with people are mean to other people because it's a reflection of how they are to themselves. So if you're not loving yourself, then you don't know how to love your neighbor or your sister or your brother.
No, that's real talk. And it's layered, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
just about holding the baby. It's about
Mm-hmm.
trust. It's
Mm-hmm.
about community. It's
Right.
about even sisterhood, and
Right.
really healing the ways that we trust one another to be consistent in each other's lives without betrayal or
Mm-hmm.
any of the things that you may have experienced in the past. And so,
Right.
I do want to take that. I wanted to just take that second, because
Yeah.
we're not
So
going to just sit here and act like every woman from every background is coming to postpartum with the same challenges. It's
right.
just not true. It's just
No,
not true.
it never will be. It never will be. And the cultural part and the cultural aspect of it, and this was before this was like right around the time that I went vegan. I was working in a vegan restaurant. I was working in a restaurant slash salon, and I was working at the salon part, but people didn't really know the name for the salon. They knew it because of the restaurant. So I would just say, yes, I'm over at this restaurant. And oh man, it was a community, a cultural community, and they took care of their women. And this was a community that, polygamous, whatever, marriage, 3 or 4 or 5 wives, that's nothing to them. So, and me, I'm not in the culture. And then another thing I enjoyed about being around them was they weren't pushy to try to make me be what they were. And it wasn't anything that I was interested in, becoming, but I was very interested in learning about what it is that they did differently, just different things that I could take. Cause they say you to, take what you need and leave what you don't, that kind of thing. And so it was that kind of relationship. And I absolutely learned so much just by being around them. And one of the things that I learned was the postpartum. Once a mom had her baby, it's like it was just an automatic thing. It was automatic. No question. Nobody had no problem. This is what we do. And they just created the space for her to live and breathe and just frolic and just be whatever she needed to be with her baby. Somebody had the children. She had meals every. And I'm just like, well, why we not? Well, wait a minute.
Well, wait a second. Wait,
This is,
math is not math here.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, well, this what we need. So then I just catered what I was doing, based off what I saw, added a few things, for myself that I thought would be needed as well. And it worked out. And the only thing, you're doing these things, and a lot of these things that I've done with M3, Melanated Meat, has been non-funded, out of pocket. You know what I mean? And no complaining, no problem. We don't have time to go to your meetings, Mr. and Mrs. We have a mom over here that needs some food. So I'm going to take a lunch break on your clock, and I'm going to get some food and give it to this mom. You know what I mean? And it really wasn't about anything else. But then, for me, my family dynamics changed. I'm remarried. I've added 2 children to my plate. And so now I have to be very strategic and careful with the time that I'm giving to the community, because I have to give time to my community in home. And I think a lot of times, us as Black women, Black leaders, and, we're out in the community and we're doing all these things, but then we go home and we're not speaking to our husband and we're not talking to the children, or there's just so much going on inside the home that we're not paying attention to. And then our escape is going and doing for the community. And it kind of gives us that balance of, well, I'm doing something right, but you're not doing right in the home. I mean, we can talk about, point the finger at who did what for whatever, how I got divorced, but what my main thing that I learned was it has to be a balance for everybody to just be their best self. It has to be a balance. That balance has to be there, has to be present. And then the moment that it's not, then things happen in another direction. So, but yeah, with my new marriage, I'm very, very conscientious of that. And it means the world to me, first, that my house is taken care of, my home is taken care of, my husband is good, my children are good, and then community. So now I am in a space where it's like, oh, well, we need funding so that we can train other women and bring other people in to help continue to do this work.
No, I love that. And I love, so first of all, you just almost made my whole spirit jump out my skin talking about Dr. Joy DeGrasse Leary. I think she's dropped the Leary now and she's just, but I want to say, so my oldest is almost 20 and had to be about 17 years ago. She did a lecture at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, which is where I was living and where I'm from. Okay. And so when she broke down, and I'm a huge fan. I write about epigenetics. That's my jam. That's the interview. We're not gonna nerd out today.
They're not ready for that one, sis. They're not ready for that one.
But when she really that listening to that lecture and her perspective on what is passed down to us, it really gave me an opportunity to reflect on who I was as a mother, whether it was actually me at all, like if it had anything to do with me or if it was all something that I was handed. And that really began my healing journey as a Black mother, having had a daughter and being scared of perpetuating certain things. And so that was, I don't know, she's probably 7 before she ever had a piece of candy. Like,
Right.
I was very militant
Oh
at that
yeah.
point. I
You and
was
me.
extra.
Look, that's
I'm
a
not
whole
gonna
nother
say it
podcast.
lasted. It didn't last to
That's a
this
whole nother
9 months.
podcast. Children and their health. And, moms are like, oh, how do you get your daughters and your children to drink water? I'm like,
That's
just
their
give
only
them
choice.
water.
Yeah. But no, like, but when you're talking about the whole thing and your perspective, your paradigm, your how you view the world, it was an opportunity to just break some stuff off. Where I was like, hold on. So when you said, listen, I can live, I can shape this world and my experience however I want to. That was a pivotal moment for me because I realized how much so, and obviously it's a journey, right? It wasn't like an aha moment and then everything in my life changed.
Right,
However, I really want to just empower the women listening. Like, there's so much that you think is you, that is yours, and you think it's original thought, and it's not.
No.
You think, oh, I have to birth this way. I can only experience postpartum this way. I have to be depressed. I have to feel this way. And you might, but you can also empower and be empowered to navigate it in a way that serves you in your development as a person, as a woman, as a human being. Your experience can then become of service to you. And so, girl, you fine. I had those moments too. Every now and again, it's totally fine. So, but no,
Life is a
I
homeschool
love
mom.
it. Yes, we out here momming, but
Yeah.
I wanna highlight that and really just share that with anybody that's listening because it gets deep.
It gets really deep.
It gets really, really deep. Breastfeeding, everything.
Yes. And you have to, and having these children, and this is the thing, I'm getting closer and closer to the mind frame of being able to let whatever it is that you have going on go. Being able to let whoever it is that's not serving your utmost high, let them go. You have to let them go. And, when your children are small, you don't think about, oh, I'll have to let them go one day, or, there's a traumatic experience where it's better for your health not to even speak to your child. You have times where moms and daughters are not speaking, or children are not talking to their parents, and we're not thinking about all those things when we're breastfeeding their little bitty cute little snoopy little. We're not thinking about those things, but those things are still reality for a lot of Black women. And when I look at having children as an assignment, this is my assignment. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So regardless of how I feel, regardless of what circumstance that the life has threw at me, like, oh wait, oh, you got a divorce, oh okay, that's a tough one right there. All right, well, guess what we're gonna do with that? We're gonna grab that divorce and we're gonna bold it and put it over here, and then we're gonna have this baby at the house. Because that's what we do, because the confidence level has to be out of the roof in order for us to maintain. And how do we get to that confidence level? We're not taking things personal. And it takes time. You literally have to exercise this mindset on even the smallest adversity. So that's how when big adversities come my way, I'm able to, my husband now, he calls me, nonchalant. I'm like, I'm not really nonchalant. I'm just like, there's life. Okay. But then there's me, so, and when you understand that, listen, you literally are made in the image of the creator. So if you're made in the image of something, the image of anything, if you're made in the image of it, that means you're that image. That means you're that. You know what I mean? You have the same equal changing power that you can put into your own life to create whatever reality it is that you want. Even when things look like nothing of what you want it to look like. Like, Even when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you like, nobody loves me, nobody cares about me, I'm crying, you know, X, Y, and Z is going on in my family. Even in those moments, you can still rise again. You can still start over. You literally, the sun will come out again. The sun is not complaining about coming out every day for us and shining.
Right.
I'm tired of shining for them people. They so ungrateful. They don't even come
They're
out here
so
and listen.
ungrateful.
They don't even look at me. They don't even feel me. They don't even be thankful. You know what I mean? Like, what if the
Hmm.
sun was like
Yeah.
us? Oh gosh.
Yeah, and that's real talk. I have absolutely enjoyed this conversation, and I feel like I want to have you back on because we need to really get deep into some of the things that we touched on today.
Yes.
But for the purposes of time in this particular podcast, I want you to please share with our audience all the dope work that you're doing with Melanin Mothers Meet and how people can follow you and get in
Yes.
contact with you.
Yes. Okay, so really quick, Melanin Mothers Meet. Whoo, Melanin Mothers Meet is that's my baby, and I am so grateful for all of the women and support that I have within that community of women because M3 is its own entity. And what we've done for women over the last 7 years, where we're having events, we're having forums, and we're having workshops. We have an annual homeschooling and color event that we do. We're doing this year in September. And we have an annual Black Breastfeeding Week that we've been doing for the last 7 years. It'll be our seventh one in August. And we just started doing the Black Maternal Health Awareness Week, which we have 2 proclamations from the city of Tallahassee for we just did our Black Maternal Health Week, April 11th through 17th is the date, and we did a speaker series virtual, and we also did a town hall in person, and they went really well. And basically, everybody continues to saying the same thing, that a lot of the problems that we're having in Black maternal and birth outcomes can be prevented. Most of them can be prevented. And so it's just like, well, where's the outrage, y'all? Like, what's going on? And so I have to, understand too. And I have one of my elders, she always say, she was like, well, don't nobody care about that but you, baby. And it's not a shot, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Everybody has what they love. And you got to make sure you're just going to your audience, to the people that do care about it the way that you do. Find that and speak to those people, because everybody on the street's not going to care. But Melanin Mothers Meet is a safe space for women to be in. I know safe space has been loosely used, but no, this is a real safe space. This is where you can cuss, fuss, and vent, and we still gonna love you after. We're not gonna judge you. We're not gonna get emotional, about what she said and he said. Like, I see all this drama going on and these empowerment groups and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful we don't have to go through it. Oh, we're not doing none of that. So it's really safe for Black women to come into, and if they need a forum or something, if a mom is just having a third baby and maybe she doesn't understand the multiplicity of having lots of children, we may put together a forum where moms with multiples come on and speak to her and she can ask questions. And how powerful is that? You know what I mean? So we do different things like that. We also have trainings and workshops for healthcare providers, where we come and we talk to doulas and midwives, and we talk to their staff or different organizations that are maternal birth focused, and we speak on the cultural competency not only in just with Black cultural, but with Black women, things that a white nurse may think is aggressive for us is just passion. So being able to tell the difference.
Mhm.
So that's really important. But yeah, so we do a lot of things. You can follow us on Instagram at Melanin Mothers Meet _M3. So that's MELANIN Mothers MOTHERS MEET _M3, as well as our website, which is www.melaninmothersmeet.com. And then you can follow me on Facebook as Mama Yata. So,
Honey, I'm so grateful for this conversation. This was dope, and I'm grateful to be in this space and meeting other Black women that are doing the work in this space. I've been a birth worker for 20 years, 20 plus. My oldest will be 22. I think he'll be 22 in June.
Oh, give thanks, sis, for your service.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's, but like you said, that your elder told you, don't nobody care but you. Like, but what conversations like this do, it reignites that passion and that mood where it's like, okay, this is just another shot of energy. Like somebody else out there
Yes.
definitely cares as much as we do.
Yes.
And just to be encouraged and to let any mom that's listening to know, like, listen, it may only be one or two or three or four sprinkled here and there in your state, but there are people out here that care about the
Right.
outcomes, that care about how you are navigating. And one of the lies that always creeps up in those moments is that you're alone and that nobody cares. And it's good to know that there are people,
Yes.
peers, but there's also people that are dedicated to being of service. And so
Yes.
thank
Yes.
you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
have you back on. I'm gonna have you back on. I'm gonna
Yes,
have you
please,
back on.
please, of course, and I'm coming. And look, let me give you 15 more seconds, real quick. I just have to say this because, you know, a lot of women, they'll see, oh, melanin mothers meet. Oh, I'm not a mother. I'm not trying to be a mother. No, 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 sis, come on over. We need you. We need a babysitter. We need a volunteer to go over and take a sister something to eat. Guess what? If you don't cook, you can order some food. Take it over there. If you don't want nobody in the house, that's fine. Put it on the door knob. Okay. By any means necessary is M3. M3 is by any means necessary because we have to have it. If you're not in town, guess what, sis? We have online, virtual, everything. We can teach. We can literally put together a form or a presentation. We've done it before to where we're teaching the families how to take care of this mom before she has her baby. I do consultations. I do postpartum class. I'm a childbirth educator. So I've done these things. I do these things where I am making sure that you have the confidence you need to have this baby. And then afterwards, you have a team set up that knows what to do. She don't need you in there, mama, talking her ear off, okay? She needs you to do some work. I need you to close your mouth, open your hands, and let's get to work, okay? And we gotta have it like that sometimes. We can't, oh well, Sarah, no. We need it just like that sometimes. And you know, I grew up around those type of elders, and so it's still a thing that I'm working on to see how I'm going to, you know, present myself to the internet world. I'm super introvert on social media and I'm trying to get better with that. Y'all help me out. Okay. Y'all help me out. But yes, definitely book me. Please contact me. My email is melanmothersmeetm3@gmail.com. And I cannot wait to come back on, sis, because we got some more stuff to talk about.
No, we about to go in. We about to go in about first of all, because I can't talk to everybody about that. If you don't have an understanding, it's a very difficult conversation to have. But I really want people to understand the large, grave impact that it has on how we birth, how we experience postpartum, how we view breastfeeding. And this conversation is not had enough. So we want to talk about it.
Yeah, we coming back. And I do a presentation on the power of the subconscious mind, building mental confidence around pregnancy, labor, and delivery. So maybe that's something we can.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much, Mama Yata. Again, family that is listening, this is Postpartum in the Raw. We have had Mama Yata from Melanated Women. And as always, we thank you for listening and we'll talk to you